Today what we're going to do is change the upper bearing on the Nissan Primera P11. I think the registration date is 2002. So I have to undo that middle nut, you see. That's a real toughie on some cars to undo. They haven't been done for ages. So therefore using this tool which goes on there like that. Okay, what to undo it with? Well, I'm sorry I'm not showing you myself doing that because I've already done it. You can see it's loose now. Next thing, I'm going to undo some of these. Once I've just dropped them and done a little bit, I'll be jacking up the car and using, of course, axle stand. Bus always comes on. Next step is to undo these bolts. Gotta be strong to do them. If they're tight, especially with one hand. So we've got all them undone. Now they're just undone a little bit. Don't want to take them off yet. Just got to jack the car up, put the trolley jack under there, and then we'll take the wheel off. Well, we've now got the jack. I've left this on, lowered it onto the axle stand. You see the axle stand? So that should be safe enough now. I've also chocked the back wheel with a brick, both sides, plus the handbrakes on, just to be extra safe. So now I'm going to take the wheel off. And if you remember, I've already loosened the nuts with my spanner earlier on. Sometimes I use a wheel brace, so they're quite loose now. I can just put the socket on them and there we go. The wheel now should come off. I'll pop it over there. Part we're looking to change, there's a bearing in there. This is supposed to come off. That pulls off, right? Sometimes they're a bit stuck, so I'll just get a thin chisel under it. Just give it a light tap, so you don't have to bash them hard, otherwise they break. It's only a covering for the nut that holds the hub in place and keeps the bearing in place. I'll show you now. Again, there's it. There we are. Take that off now. There it is. I got to pull this and do this now with another spanner. I wonder if that's the same size. No, has to be a smaller tool. So I'll get another socket and then I'll undo that. Sorry, if I remember rightly, it was a size 17 socket, which is probably that one. Yeah. So just bash that in there. Don't think I'm going to get a socket on there, so I may have to get a size 17 spanner. But first, I think I'm going to undo here. This supports all this, and it has to drop down so I can get in to get the bearing out. It's a real tough job to get a bearing out. Probably that one might fit. Yep, does. Now, thing is, which is left, which is right. There we go. Not coming so easy. These are quite tough to undo, but the only reason this is a bit looser is because I've not long changed this. You see, it's quite new, so I'll be able to get this off now quite easily. I don't go all the way with it yet. I'm only going to go so far, and then I'll take it off the rest of it. See, now it's hand loose, so that's going to drop when I undo this nut. So I'll just convert the spanner now. These ratchets are quite handy. They're a ring spanner, but can you see, a ratchet? There's a little button here, so you can turn it if you need to tighten it and go the other way. But we want to slacken it off. Did it drop then? Did you hear it drop? The hub. Take this screw off. There's a little washer here as well. And key. Funny shaped key, look. That's got to go back. There. And that bearing there is worn. It doesn't seem to be that worn, but it's worn enough to make the hub rock. And on the MOT station, something like that. So, got to drop the whole thing and then try and get that bearing out. Mechanics would say that's the fun part, meaning it's really tough. Not fun at all, unless you got the tools to do the job. Okay, you can see hub has dropped a little, but got to pull this out. See, it's a clip. I've already loosened it, so that has to come out. This here then can come out. So I'll do a little bit of a struggle, but it'll come out. Okay, so now I'm going to lower the hub a little bit more and see if I can pull it out of there. And I'll do that by first, remember this bolt? I'll undo that. I usually put all my spanners together, and nuts and bolts. That's my brother's toolbox. He's a mechanic really. I do all body work. Sometimes I do mechanicking. So I'm going to struggle with that now, just to get that so it drops out. So I've got access to the bearing. This here is called a bearing puller, but they're a good tool to have. This one isn't going to fit because this, when that's extended, it's going to be so long I'm not going to be able to get it in. I'll see if I can show you what I mean. Well, problem is they're not going to fit. You see? Because can't get them in. The idea, they're close together, you see. These. Another one there, somewhere. Can you see? They're clutched together, go in this hole, and can't work because it's. I'm going to have to take the whole hub off to use the bearing pullers. They're good when they, when you got access to everything, but I'm not going to be any good for this job whatsoever unless I take this entire hub off, which means I'll have to use the spring compressors. So this is no mean task. It could turn out to be a very big job indeed. But before I do that, I'm going to see if I can get that bearing out. Maybe I'll have to hammer it out. Though, here's something else I've got to do. That castle nut that's holding the low ball joint on, just got to undo that. And I've already got it loose. So, I'll take that off so that all this can drop and I can pull this further out the way to one side, hopefully, as much as I can, and see how it goes from there. This here is a very useful tool for splitting the lower ball joint to get it loose, and I can't show you how it works because I have to hammer it. I've only got one hand with the camera, but I can hold it in place with one hand, and the idea is to knock that and it helps to make it loose. I'll show you now. So I put it in place. There, as you can see, is the lower ball joint. And the idea is to take up the mechanic's favourite hammer and bash that there, and that helps this come loose, because all I want to do is get my nut off here and drop that down so I can then move this out the way. I've also undone this, remember the nut, that middle nut, so I can take that there out of the way as well. I'm forgetting what things are called, isn't that strange? Alright, come on. Oh yes, that was it. Castle nut to hold the I forgot again. Drive shaft, yes, that's it. Taking the drive shaft out. That's what I was doing. And okay, there's a name for that. What did I call it before? Doesn't matter. You know what I mean. Well, what a lovely day. We're still fortunate. So, back here, I've done now. As you can see, I bashed that in with the hammer, and now managed to get that nut off, so I can now drop it through to see that's how that's loose now? Yeah? So I can pull that out, see? Okay, and that's what I'll do now. So what I'm doing now, as you can see there, that bearing has come up a bit. So all I'm doing is, with a hammer, I'm putting it that side. Can you see I've taken all this hub now, I pushed it to one side. So I start hammering up here now. Technically this isn't the way to do it, but I hammer that bearing as much as I can one side. I move this whole thing to the other side, and then I go at it from this side. That is so that comes up even. So I'm going to carry on hammering my hammer and chisel, bash up that way. It's not a real sharp chisel, it's got like a flat edge on it, so it's not, hopefully it won't do any damage, apart from bashing the bearing out. So as you can see, the bearing now is coming a bit further up, so I'm going to go at it now from this side so that it keeps coming up evenly. I'll go under there and I'll bash that up with a hammer, of course, and see if it will eventually come out. I haven't been at it long, about 5 minutes either side. So this here was our bearing inserter, all we do is bang it in there, and you just basically nut and bolt and you just tighten it. I might be able to show you how to, when I'm inserting this bearing up here, I might be able to show you how that works. Probably some of you have already figured it. Oops. Sorry about the wind, and there's the bearing on the end. See how it's been pulled out? I don't know if you can see under there. It's come out of there, so I got to put a new one in there now. Sorry I couldn't show you me pulling it out with this thing. It was a very awkward thing to use, believe you me. But it does the job. Okay, and this now is the homemade bearing installer. So basically it's just this nut on top. We've used the old bearing to push the new bearing inside there, and we'll be using the old bearing to push this new bearing upwards, which I'll show you in a minute.
In as a spacer, because we're putting the bottom bearing back in. So once it's tightened up, it'll have no further movement. And once we've got it flush there, we'll be putting the old bearing below here to take it the rest of the way in.
Okay.